So, good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the third session of the Auto Ancillary Conclave 2021 by Millennium Mams. We've had Mr. Arvind Goyal of Tata Autocom and Mr. Monod of ZF Steering before in the last two sessions. This forum gives us the opportunity to interact with the heads of leading auto ancillary majors. And today we have a company that is pioneering control for a world in motion. When you are a part of an industry for more than 35 years, you are regarded as an SME or subject matter expert. And our guest of honor is one with extensive experience that includes auto ancillary companies like Bosch and Visteon Thailand. He has brought a wealth of knowledge to his organization and taken the company to the next level. Please put your hands together for Mr. N.S. Mohan, the Managing Director and Group CEO of Suprajit Engineering. Thank you, sir, for being here with us today. I would also like to take your permission and share some information about our esteemed organization, Millennium Mams, before we move on. Knowledge building and knowledge sharing has been at the core of Millennium Mams' philosophy, and our mentors, Mr. Vishnu Dhanuka and Mr. Sanjay Bhuvania, have created more than 5,000 investors and also investment professionals. Our yearning for learning about different sectors has prompted the Auto Ancillary Conclave 2021, and this time it's online because we believe that it will be the game changer for the economy. Back to our event, Suprajit Engineering, under the able guidance of Mr. N.S. Mohan, has grown inorganically by acquiring Westcon, a US-based non-automotive cable manufacturer. He has also been instrumental in the acquisition of Phoenix Land, an automotive halogen bulb manufacturing company. Mr. Mohan is a techno-commercial professional with a passion for excellence. He has made effective use of his engineering and cost accountancy degree to bring in automation, managerial depth, and enhanced customer focus at Suprajit. Mr. Mohan has also written some insightful articles on the auto ancillary segment, and today we've got this opportunity to hear his views in person. I would like to invite him now for his opening remarks and his presentation. After that, we will have an interesting Q&A session. Over to you, Mr. Mohan.
Thank you, Rachna. Thank you very much. And I know it sounded very euphemistic with all that SME stuff. I get scared now. Okay, it puts a lot of burden on me. Okay, I'll try to do some justice.
Yeah.
So,
so would you like to share a presentation?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Bajanti, if you could make Mr. Mohan the co-host.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So how would I go about sharing? Share screen. Yes, okay, I can do it now. Yes. Okay, are you seeing yourselves?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, good. Okay, so I presume it's visible to everybody right now?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, I just thought instead of it being a bit of a monologue, it should be more a chat. So I thought it is very apt that we can call it as a chat between MM and NSM.
Wow.
Incidentally, inside the organization, I'm more popularly known as NSM, NS Mohan. So I just thought that would sound much more better for all of us. So what I would do is very quickly take you through a bit of Suprajit so that you understand what is Suprajit and what are we doing. And then I'll give some amount of insights into what's happening in the industry and specifically in how we are reacting to it. I
So
don't
before
think
we
that.
start, sir, sorry to chip in, sir, if you could just increase your volume a little bit more.
Okay.
Now, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Probably I need to hold it this way. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So what I would do is I'll just very quickly take you through a small introductory session on Suprajit and then talk about a bit of what's happening in the industry. I don't think I would be bringing out some fantastic ideas or something, but it's more for us to understand how we are moving and therefore what is happening around us and how we are reacting to it.
Mhm.
So let me start with the presentation about Suprajit. Is this visible?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We always say that we are marching ahead with confidence. So we have a nice saying inside the organization, and which I keep telling all my people. I always say we are in automotive industry. Please understand, in an automotive industry, a rear view mirror is small and a windscreen is large. So, you need to have a perspective as to what's happening behind you and besides you. But at the same time, your focus should be on the windscreen ahead of you. Therefore, we always talk about marching ahead with confidence. So, with that, I would just take you through what our core business is, customer profile, and more importantly, I'm going to take you through what we call it as strategy Suprajit 2.0, a bit about financials because I think that would be of some interest to you.
Yes.
So let's start with core business. Our core business is cables. Now, first thing that happens every time when I talk about cables is people get confused between wiring harness with typically, Mrs. Sehgal is there in a very, very big way, Motherson Sumi. That with us, we are not into wiring harness. We are into steel wired cables, or what we call it as push-pull cable or a release cable. And you would be surprised to see the amount of cables that gets used in an automotive industry. For example, let's say in a car, when you just open the door latch has got a cable which goes and pulls the lock out. So if you have 4 door in your car, that means we have 8 latches, 4 from inside, 4 from outside. Therefore, you have 8 cables going in. Similarly, let's say you have 4 doors, therefore 4 windows, and the windows needs to be regulated. That means it has to go up and come down. The glass needs to go up and come down. Again, there is a cable which is operating inside, which makes it go up and down. Therefore, straight away, if you look at doors, you have 8 plus 4, 12 cables sitting there. Now, I'm not getting into the rest of the car, just to give you an idea. More and more like folding of seats, the last seat in SUV, the third seat, or even in the middle seats, the folding mechanisms, a lot of these use cables. So basically, our job is to make these cables, and not just the cables, but some of the mechanisms and assemblies which are towards the end of these cables also is what we make. This is what happens in a passenger car. In two-wheeler industry, you again have accelerator cable, brake cable, and so on and so forth, seat release cables. Then you have things like off-highway vehicles, like let's say a tractor or a lawnmower or a snow thrower. A lot of these use these cables, and that's what we are into. It's a mechanical control cable and not a wiring harness. The other product that we are in a big way into is halogen bulbs. Incidentally, in cables, there are what is called as a light duty cable and a heavy duty cable. We are into LDC, or a light duty cable segment. And you would be very surprised to know that we are the second largest player in the world manufacturing light duty cables. Our total cable capacity is about close to 300 million cables. And when it comes to halogen bulbs in India, we have a capacity of 110 million bulbs. So we are a scaled up manufacturer, and we supply throughout the world. I'll skip this. Basic structuring of the company, again, because a lot of you are investors, it would be of interest to you. One of the things that we always take care about the investor is bringing in simplicity. There are quite many people who have multiple organizations, holding structures, and intercompany lending. So you really don't know where your money as a shareholder is going. Where is it getting parked? How is it getting utilized? So that becomes a problem, even though they give you a consolidated results and all those things. So what we try to do as an organization is try to keep it simple as is possible. So just to let you know, the top structure is Suprajit Engineering Limited, which is a listed company. And this listed company has 100% owned subsidiary, one in Europe called as Suprajit Europe. It is in UK, Tamworth, near Birmingham. The second one is called as Suprajit Automotive Limited, which is 100% EOU in India. Now, there is a specific reason why this is kept as a separate legal entity. I'll come to that later. Then you have Suprajit USA, which is a holding arm. And through that holding arm, we hold Westcon Controls LLC, which again is a 100% owned subsidiary. Phoenix Lamps Limited was a listed company, as many of you would know, which we acquired. And then we decided that we would not like to have two publicly listed entities in India. Therefore, we decided to merge Phoenix Lamps Limited. Therefore, it became a division of Suprajit, now called as Phoenix Lamps Division. And through that division, directly held by Suprajit Engineering Limited, is Luxlight in Luxembourg, which is a trading arm, and another trading arm called as Trifa in Germany, both selling bulbs. We also have a corporate social responsibility arm of Suprajit called as Suprajit Foundation. So this makes it, Suprajit Foundation is not for profit. Therefore, if you look at it from a business perspective, you just have Suprajit Engineering, Suprajit Europe, Automotive, operating level, Westcon, Luxlight, Trifa. So this is the overall structure. Now, as much as we try to keep our organization structure simple, we also try to keep our management structure simple and lean. The reason why we do it is because we need to be nimble, we need to be extremely decisive, we need to move fast. And to do that, if we can have that kind of an organization structure which allows us to move in fast and be nimble and be proactive and reactive to situations, that makes us much more better. Ajit Kumar Rai is the person who started this company in 1985. Now, he's an engineer himself. He finished his engineering here in India, went to Canada, did his master's, came back to India. He wanted to directly turn an entrepreneur. And at those days, TVS, which was TVS Suzuki, was looking out for vendors. Therefore, they asked on an open advertisement that can we get some vendors? So this young gentleman walks up to TVS and says that, well, can I become your vendor? Then they say, what do you want to do? He's clueless. So he tells Mr. Venu Srinivasan, please let me know what I can do. So there are two products which are brought onto the table by the purchasing department. One is a cable and another is a bulb. Very strange, yeah? Another is a bulb. And looking at these two, this young man says, well, this bulb looks very electrical. So I'm a mechanical engineer, let me not touch it. So let me do something which looks very mechanical, and this is a cable. So he asked, how do I go about doing this? They say, well, we have a technology, the person who's supplying to us in Suzuki today, and it's a Taiwanese company. So we are going to give you an introduction to these Taiwanese. Why don't you just chat up with them? So the young Ajit Kumar goes there and talks to them and gets the technology collaboration done. Comes over here, he goes there, he sets the machines, runs the machines, dismantles the machines, packs them, brings them over to India, sets it up, everything himself, along with a couple of engineers. And that's how we all started. So Ajit Kumar Rai very recently decided to step up. He was the managing director too, and he decided to move up to become an executive chairman. And I, as a professional, took over as a managing director. So incidentally, I joined the company in 2013 December. So I have been over 7 years with this company now and with Ajit. So that's how we started. So Mr. Rai is the founder and the executive chairman. He is what I would call as a person who shows our true north. He is the one who always keeps telling us, okay, we need to go in this direction, we need to be in this direction, kind of stuff. He shows us our true north. We are the people who walk down that path. So as managing director, as group CEO, I and my team, we go down that path. It's very important because it's a family, I would say majority family owned company, 51 almost percent. Therefore, it's very important that while it is being an owner driven company, it has to be professionally managed. Therefore, it is very important that he, as a part of the family and the owner, and I, as a professional, have clarity as to what are our roles and responsibilities. And again, to what extent is an independence to a professional inside an organization. That's very, very important. If we do not draw those boundaries clearly, then we are stepping over each other's toes, and that leads to disillusionment, and it'll also lead to some amount of dissatisfaction by the professional or by the owner. Therefore, when I became the managing director, we had a very clear chat, and he said, okay, these are the areas, Mohan, you look after. These are the areas that I'm going to be looking after. And of course, these are the areas which would be gray areas where we both need to be involved in. That was it was probably about 2 hours, 3 hours of discussion that we had in a hotel lobby. And it was an exceedingly mature discussion, which helped us to set the boundaries for ourselves and how to grow the organization and build the organization. Reporting to me is Frank Klinkert. He is Luxembourgish. So he is in Luxembourg, and he is the managing director of Luxlight and Trifa. We have Mr. Narayan Shankar, who has been with Ajit literally since the beginning, since 1985. He joined as a trainee engineer, and he has moved up the ladder, rightfully so. He is now heading the business of Domestic Cable Division, DCD. I'll come to the finance man later. Then we have marketing and sales, Praveen Rao, a professional. Then we have Mr. Akhilesh Goel. Akhilesh is head of Phoenix Lamps Division, ex-Philips, ex-Krishna Maruti, ex-Tata Cummins guy, again, a thorough professional. I'll come to the family later, the Rais. There are other two Rais, you would say there. Very recently, James Ryan came on board as the president of Controls Cables Global Operations. That means except India. India is looked after by Narayan Shankar. The rest of the cables is looked after by Jim. Jim has got, again, about 30 plus years of experience only in cable sector. He has worked for Kongsberg. He has worked for Leggett & Platt, quite many cable-based company in US and also in Europe. He has worked in China. He comes with a great international experience. He joined us just very recently, probably about 15, 20 days back. Earlier, instead of James Ryan or Jim Ryan, Steve Fricker, head of Westcon Controls, Peter Grainsmith, who is the head of Suprajit Europe, were all reporting to me. Now with the new organization structure, they are all reporting to Jim. And similarly, if we are going to make any overseas acquisitions, the investing community and everybody knows that we are passionate for growth and we are hungry for growth. Again, when I say growth, it's a profitable growth always. So, or any overseas acquisitions that happen in the cable space will be reporting into Jim. We have Gopal. Gopal is a US citizen of Indian origin who has been with us again for about 6 years now, and he heads the business development for Americas. And he was reporting to me directly. Now he reports into Jim. Apart from this, you would see that we have two Rais. Both are sons of Ajit Rai. Akhilesh is the eldest son, and Ashutosh is the second son. Both of them are professionally qualified. Akhilesh is an engineer from Purdue University. Later, he did his master's in management from London School of Business. And he has spent a good number of years inside the organization. He started off as IT head, and he put systems like Oracle and all this kind of stuff in the organization. And once he got his hands dirty and learned everything, he went, did his MBA, came back. We moved him up the ladder as a chief strategy officer, CSO, and also we brought him on the board as one of the directors. The second son, Ashutosh, is again a mechanical engineer from Bristol, UK, and he's a master's in mechanical engineering, and he heads Suprajit Technology Center. Medappa is a long-standing finance guy and a company secretary, and it's a very clear understanding that finance, funding would all be more a responsibility of Ajit because he's the one who brings money into the table. Therefore, Medappa reports into Ajit Rai, and also because he's a company secretary and an executive chairman, the legal compliances are very, very important. Therefore, Medappa operationally reports to me, but functionally reports into Ajit Rai. So this is the kind of organization structure we have, and we give a lot of freedom, and we allow people to operate in their zones, like for example Frank or Narayan Shankar or Akhilesh Goyal, and earlier Steve, Peter. They have their own space to operate on, but at the same time there are enough checks and balances inside the organization. So I was talking about this top three, and we are the top three or top five in halogen lamps and in cables. We are a dominant supplier in Indian automotive industry, blah, blah, blah. But very important is the brands. From Suprajit, when we acquired Phoenix, we went into a debate whether we should make it Suprajit, should we not make it Suprajit. So should Suprajit as a brand be seen, or we should retain the brand of Phoenix? And from that journey and onwards on to Westcon, that philosophy moved on. We decided that as we acquire companies, if the brand is strong, we should never destroy a brand. The brand is strong, keep the brand. You are the holding company, but utilize the brand. Don't be emotional that it should be your brand everywhere. You as a company can hold those brands and run those brands. So that is one lesson that we learned as we moved ahead, and it has really paid us back in a very big way. Because I don't think people would be very happy to buy a Suprajit bulb, which was more known for cables. So Phoenix is known much more, and the recall is extremely high in the minds of people. I'll very quickly let you see it. You can see literally who's who of the industry we are supplying. Yeah, so I would not like to get much into it. Yeah, these are all non-automotive segments that we work in. Yeah, and again, in the Indian industry, this is all about $3 million revenue, I would say. Now, this is something that I would like to comment to. This is something which would be a bit interesting. I have how much more time, Rachna?
So half an hour till 5.
No,
so we have Q&A also.
Yes. So I have till 45.
No, Mr. Mohan, we want to have half an hour question answer session.
Hanji. Okay, fine. Then I'm going to rush through this.
Yes.
So we embarked in 1985 to 2020 from a single segment. We went into multiple segments. From a single customer, we built a good customer base. From a single product of cables, we built into multiple products. From a single location in Karnataka, we have got locations all over the world now. From a single brand, we learned how to manage multiple brands. So this has been, in a nutshell, the journey that we have taken from 1985 to 2020. Okay, so this just gives you an overview as to how many plants we have got and where all we have got the plants. Very quickly on financials, I will not take you through the capacities, but look at the revenue. Revenue growth has been around 29, 50, 65, 86, 170, 220. So you would see that we have had a robust growth. Like what I said, I joined in 2013, December 2013. And when we are doing this, we did not sacrifice our EBITDA margin. You would see that EBITDA margin we have been able to hold on to. Therefore, we always believe that we need to be cognizant of the fact that it is shareholders' money that needs to be respected. We also have a very clear philosophy that we should not be over leveraged. And while we would not term ourselves as conservative, we definitely will tell that we are financially prudent. So our philosophy has been de-risk and de-risk and de-risk. And that's what we have done, be it category-wise, be it geography-wise. We have continuously tried to de-risk our business. So I'll skip through all this. So very simple, 300 million cables, 110 million halogen bulbs, but a single goal. And that single goal is customer satisfaction. This is what we try to achieve to a lot of our customers through our brands of Suprajit, Phoenix, and Westcon Controls. So with this spiel, I would now move into something totally, totally different. So I was just wondering when Rachana asked me, that can you speak to this tribe of investors who are looking at automotive industry? I said, is the top portion seen? Can you see
Recent
this?
Indian automotive history.
Okay, good. Okay. So what I thought was, it's important that when we start the car, we look at the rear view mirror. Then we look into the windscreen again. Okay, I come back to my theme. So I thought let's have a very quick look into the rear view mirror. So I don't know how many of you have heard of this word, Okiyagari Koboshi. People who speak Japanese probably correct my pronunciation, Okiyagari Koboshi. Okiyagari Koboshi is a very interesting doll. I'm sure many of you have played with dolls earlier. Therefore, let me remind you of this beautiful doll.
Yes.
Yes. If you had naughty brothers or naughty sisters for that matter, along with you, and they used to come and knock this doll down, and this doll had the resilience of always coming back and sitting itself upright, right? So
Yes.
you always used to be proud about this doll, that anytime you knock it down, it always comes back and sits properly. So I'm sure that you would have been proud of this Okiyagari Koboshi, right? So Indian automotive industry has been like this. Why? We went through demonetization. 2016, we got hit. We tried to set ourselves, come back and sit right. Then they said, okay, let's move from BS3 to BS4, April 2017. And they said, oh, overnight, you cannot sell these, you cannot register these. We thought we should only stop manufacturing these, but even the Supreme Court came with an order telling, no, you cannot even register it. So that was another hit for us. And again, we tried to set ourselves right and stand up. Then came the GST, 2017, July, very much after this BS3 to BS4 hit. And again, it knocked us down. But again, we sat back. Then came a bunch of punches this time. There was this NBFC fiascos, therefore there was money sucked out, for the financing was not there for the automotive market. Insurance cost went up. They said multiple year insurance has to be bought upfront. Then to top it, the government, you know whom I'm talking about, came out telling that, well, by 2020, we would like to have electric vehicles. Come on, give me a break. You've just now invested into BS4 technology, and it's just going to be 3 years. I haven't even recovered my investment. There is no infrastructure, but there is this talk about, okay, by 2020, we are going to go EV. So there is this EV angst coming in. Should I buy a IC engine vehicle or not? Should I wait? And all this stuff. Then came 2019 BS6 angst. And this got clubbed with the COVID wave 1. And now we went through BS4 to BS6 again in April 2020 and 2021. We thought it's all over, and the wave 2 has hit us again with its own supply chain issues. So we are like Okiagari Kuboshi. Every time something hits us, we try to upright ourselves, and again something comes and hits us. So this has been happening. Being in industry, I have been, from 1985, I have been in the industry, but I have never seen automotive industry getting hit so often with such a regularity, with such a frequency. But still, I don't think we are out. So is it all gloom and doom? Is this what I see in my windscreen? This is what I saw in my rear view mirror. That I agree. There were a lot of potholes on that road. But is it a highway? Is it a super expressway that I am seeing in the front? What are the myths that got demolished in the process? So I thought, let me just look at what are all those myths that got demolished. One, there was this talk about end of diesel, and clean is going to be more petrol or gasoline. Therefore, petrol, gasoline rules, diesel will come to an end, including in Europe. There's a lot of talk. Well, that myth got busted. End of ICE engine, and the dawn of EVs was heralded. That has got busted. End of personal mobility and the start of shared mobility, Olas of the world. Everybody said people will stop owning vehicles. It'll all be shared mobility from now onwards. Industrial stalwarts were talking about it. They said, we need to change our business models now. Well, that got demolished. Very interestingly, with GST and other things coming in, there was a huge unorganized aftermarket sector. And that got kind of almost wiped out, and we got into an organized aftermarket structure. It's not that unorganized is not there, it's still there, but in a much smaller way. People said that there is going to be small cars and more economy-based cars and all this stuff, but we are seeing an SUV craze there. People want people with large cars with 3 rows of seats, and that's what is fashion today. We had commuter bikes. Motorbikes was supposed to be a rural, item to be brought, and to travel from place A to place B, it was commuter, or even in the urban segment, it was to go to the office or something like that. Today, from a commuter bike, it has gone into a brag bike. Now, how expensive bike you're going to own? So you have the KTMs, you have the higher ends of Royal Enfield. Forget the imported ones, the Harleys or the rest of the things. Therefore, commuter bikes have moved to brand and brag bikes. I don't know what else is going to come. Therefore, I don't think there is all gloom and doom. I think there are a lot of interesting things that are happening. It is for us to see and recognize these trends and see how you can be opportunistic and convert it into an opportunity for growing your own business. So what lies ahead then? Well, let me end this very simply. I don't know. When you don't know, what are you going to do? You're going to behave like the finance ministers of India. What do? They throw a poetry at you. That's what they do in budget, right? So I'm going to throw a poetry at you. We have gone through difficulties a lot. We will go through many ahead, and that we know. Yet we travel not knowing the end or the destination. And that's the way it happens, my friend. Let's learn to enjoy the journey a bit. Be tough, patient, looking ahead and smiling, as it is a smile that defeats deprivation. And that's the way it happens, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the excellent presentation. And the best was the last slide, never say die, spirit of the auto sector. After every blow, right from the demonetization, it has bounced back.
Super.
Wow. Super. Seriously. Thank you so much. And it was a very inspiring, I would say, very motivating slides you had prepared, how to make use of the opportunities thrown at us. So once again, thank you so much, sir, for this brilliant session. And now I would like to take your permission to open it for the members for Q&A session. And first question, I think it's from Sunita Bhulchandani. You can come in, please, with your question.
Sir, you said that your company and the industry is now going to be technology driven. Can you expand on that and let us know how that will happen?
Well, when you say technology driven, we always think technology means something super duper. For me, technology is very simple. Technology is something which enables things to be made better. Therefore, be it in terms of process technology or in terms of product technology. So I'll give you an example, then you will, it will become clearer. For example, let us say when we are talking about cables, as we ramp up the production, as we ramp up the scaling, we need to go in for a lot of automation. So therefore, what we have done is we have come out with the concept of automation. I don't want to lose the idea of manual intervention, because there is some amount of manual labor arbitrage that I get in the international market. Therefore, I don't want to throw it away. But at the same time, international market demands consistency in quality. Therefore, I have to go in for certain operations which will be automated, and the rest of the operations be remaining as manual. Therefore, I'm providing employment. I'm keeping people more employed. At the same time, in critical operations, I am doing. So this is in terms of process technology. In terms of product technology, the idea here is when I say I'm going to become more a technology provider, I'll give you a classic example here. We were talking to one of the automotive majors in US, and in the last seat, the third seat, there was, if you are to the right side of the vehicle or to the left side of the vehicle, if you are going to pull the strap, the entire thing should fold and get back. But you have to go to the right side and the left side to pull those straps. Therefore, they came out and asked, can you help us out with one pull, either on the left side or on the right side? We should be able to open it. So we came out with a mechanism, which is a completely in-house mechanism, which we designed, developed, tested, took it to the customer and showed it. They're extremely thrilled. And now we became a single source for them because we own the patent there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so technology doesn't mean super duper things,
Yes.
So small things like this. I was at the BMW in Munich one day. And I generally, what I do is I take a few of these mechanisms and I keep it on the table. So, it intrigues because I know at the other end is also an engineer sitting. Therefore, he wants to touch it. He wants to see it. He wants to understand why I've kept it over there. So he comes and asks me in German, he asked me, can I see it? I said, of course, it's for you. Then I once the curiosity is there, then I try to explain to him this is the mechanism, this is how it does. Then he said, oh, this is very interesting. I think I would be interested in it. Can you talk to my engineering people? Therefore, technology is product technology,
Yes, sir.
where we are trying to solve real life problems out there, and process technology to make ourselves more competitive in the world market.
Thank you, sir.
Aditi, you can come in with your question, followed by Deepshika.
Good evening, sir. Sir, a lot of auto companies are moving into the non-auto sector as well. What do you think is the reason behind this? And also, how does it impact your margins?
It has got two portions to the question. So let me separate it out first. Okay. The first portion, do you have to get into non-automotive?
Yes.
I don't think there is a single answer to it, but it will depend upon the product that you are in. Now, for example, the cables that we are in, it has usage in medical sector. It has in usage in marine aviation sector, and quite many different sectors it has got usage. It so happens that we started our job in this segment. Now, if you want to insure yourself against the vagaries of automotive sector through its cyclical nature, then it is important that we diversify ourselves into another segment. What better can you do if you have a known product, a known process? All you need to do is go into an unknown territory of an unknown customer and an unknown usage, because how is this used, you will not be knowing that you have to learn. Therefore, either you can do it in-house, develop that, or through acquisitions, which is much more faster. So that's how we do it. Second portion, how is it in terms of EBITDA or in terms of margins? Like what I said, if it is EBITDA accretive, you should go and do that acquisition and acquire that technology and get into that sector. If it is not, why would you want to do it? Why would you like to deploy that money over there? Yeah. So I always look at it this way: is it going to be EBITDA accretive, and is it going to add to my adjacent territories? Adjacent territories in terms of geography, adjacent territories in terms of my segmentation.
Deepshika, your turn. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Sir, my question to you is, what is your outlook towards the auto ancillary sector in the medium term? And so by Q3, a lot of companies had started announcing CapEx. So given the current circumstances that the auto industry is in, do you think this will continue?
Okay. What was the first question?
What is your outlook?
Near term.
Yes, sir. Medium term. Yes.
Medium term outlook. Well, if you give me a, have you played Ludo? The dice?
Yes, sir.
You also can throw the dice. I will also throw a dice, and we'll play that game. So it's a VUCA situation out there. It's too volatile. Yes, I have tried to predict a few things, but I know how wrong I have been. Okay, so I would rather not venture into putting. But I'm a diehard optimist. I'm an Ashawadi. Therefore, I will always say that things will happen for good. So I have no questions that it's going to be great. Now, coming to the second part of the question, there are people who are going in for CapExes. Well, let me answer your question in a slightly different way. Let's talk about our Indian Army or any army in the world. When do you think they should acquire new technology, new weaponry, new systems, all those things? During the time of war or during the time of peace?
Obviously,
right?
so during the time of peace.
So for me, you see, my factories are not working. I don't have production pressures. I don't have customers breathing down my neck telling that, well, my line is going to come to a halt. Otherwise, I'm going to slap you with huge penalties, or I have a quality problem. I don't have all these things. Well, I can despair. I can feel despondent, and I feel, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Or let me think into the future, induct new things. Therefore, when the first time it happened, I went on a Zoom call with all my plant heads, with my seniors, and I told them, hey guys, you know what we should do? We should start training people, because a Jawan should never be kept idle. An officer should never be kept idle in the army, right? Otherwise he goes to the canteen and you know what he's going to do. He goes to the canteen, right? So I don't want that to happen. I don't want that fellow to develop a pot belly, right? My officers should be trim. Therefore, I'm going to put them through parades. I'm going to give Jawans, 5 kilo, 10 kilo packs on them, and I'm going to ask them to climb up the hill. Therefore, I'm going to give more training to them. I'm not going to say it's a wastage of ammunition. I'm going to say, do some shooting practice. So I'm going to give a lot of training to my people. And at the same time, I'm going to get ready of my plant and machinery. And if I have to do some capexes, either in terms of refurbishment, in terms of quality upgradation, in terms of induction of new technology, this is a beautiful God-sent time for us to do it. Believe me, so that you're ready when the market opens up.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Aarti, you can come in, please.
Thank you, sir. So my question is, we'd like to know, why are many Indian companies opting for having foreign subsidiaries?
Well, I don't know about others. Let me speak about myself, ourselves rather. The way we look at it is, it has come for Indians to not just look at what's happening here, but we became world player. Okay, and you can become a world player once you understand how to operate in those territories, how to be like. How many of you knew about Hyundai in 1980s, 1990s also, for all that matter, I would say, right? How much of the world knew about Suzuki? How did they come into India, make a brand there, and that everybody knows about, right? Therefore, I would say that if they are able to come to our territory and play, why should we not be doing it as Indians? What is wrong with us? Why are we so inward looking? At one point in time, with the socialistic and the certain philosophies that were there earlier, we are an insular economy. Today we are much more connected economy, thanks to since the time of P.V. Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh. We have become more connected with the world, and when you are connected with the world, you should know how to play cricket in your own ground, or Ferozla Kotla ground, or in Melbourne cricket ground. Whichever ground is okay. Game is game for us. So for us particularly, it is a matter of expanding business. Both in India, there is certain amount of limitation that you can do, right? In the cable space, for example, we are in the pole position in a cable space. So we wouldn't like to be doing more cable acquisitions, for example. Therefore, the only way we can grow in cable space is outside of India. So that's one of the compelling reasons why we had to think about going outside of India. Having foreign subsidiaries, because it has to be a legal entity there.
Thank you, sir.
Next question is from Preeti, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, as per the ACMA, the auto ancillary industry is expected to achieve $200 billion by 2026, sir. Sir, I want to understand from you, is it achievable? And sir, if yes, what are the trends that would make it possible, sir?
Well, the number, is it achievable? The answer is yes. When? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. All I know is I need to travel from here to Delhi. I know I want to go to Delhi. Whether it's going to be by car or by flight, I don't know, or by train, I don't know. But due to COVID circumstances, I know I can't do it, but I know I'm going to do it. So it's for me, it's not the question of will we achieve it? Definitely we will. But the question is, on what time scale are we going to achieve it? Because it's very important to have a goal. Don't do something without having in mind certain things that you want to achieve. So not having a goal is wrong, I would say. That's the first thing that we need to have. Now, if there are certain things that happen in between and you're not able to achieve within that time period, don't get frustrated, don't get negative. Just say that, okay, fine, manzil ab dur nahi hai, kind of stuff. That attitude you carry.
So what would be the growth drivers for this industry, sir?
Primarily, I would call first growth driver would be the domestic market, because there is a huge scope for automobile sector, because if you look at the per capita ownership of vehicles in India, it's pretty poor compared to other countries. Therefore, with all that gloom and doom about shared mobility vanishing away, with personal mobility coming in, and I see it pretty strong coming up. Whenever it's going to come up, it's going to come up pretty strong. People would like to own vehicles. And in India, there is another reason why people want to own vehicles, because it's a prestige. Mere paas bangla hai, car hai, tumhara paas kya hai, kind of stuff, right? So car is a prestige issue at the end of the day. Therefore, an Indian would like to possess a vehicle. We are very possessive people at the end of the day. Therefore, domestic market would be one very big key driver. The second key driver, and as long as the basics like monsoon being good and the fundamentals of economic drivers are there, I don't see any reason why it should have any negative impacts there. For Indians, for the Indian automotive industry, specifically component industry, we have a huge opportunity, because I have seen personally some amount of disillusionment with Chinese in the American market particularly. So I see that there is a space that we can occupy, and we should do that. We should do that very aggressively. I don't see that aggression yet in the industry. I think we need to be more aggressive.
So here I would like to ask that how do you see the shift from the unorganized to the organized sector, sir?
You cannot wish away an unorganized sector in India specifically. The government has tried to make it more organized, in the sense that organized in terms of at least they pay taxes, that's what I mean. Okay. Now, please understand that we Indians are extremely smart, right? As much as government is going to try to bring certain things, there are other ways that people find to beat them. When GST came and, there was this thing happening, I happened to be in, if I'm not wrong, in Chandigarh, if I'm not wrong. No, not Chandigarh. No, Amritsar, sorry. I was in Amritsar because I had gone to the Golden Temple, I remember. So I was sitting with one of my distributor dealers there, and I was talking, and here is the CEO of this company, Noel fellow, SME, correct? That's the word you use, SME there. So sitting over there with this, guy, rustic guy, Sardar, and I'm talking to him, Arey Sardarji, kaise chal raha hai, aajkal kya dhanda manda hai kya, and kind of stuff. And then I say, like, with GST having come in, so all this Delhi ka maal yahan aana band ho gaya kya? Then he said, yeah, kya baat kar rahe ho sir? And then on a piece of an envelope, at the back of an envelope, he quickly writes down, in fact, due to this, the amount of available margin for a guy in Kashmiri Gate to play around with has actually increased. He demonstrated it, and he said that dumping is going to happen more. Believe me, with his Punjabi accent, I couldn't understand it. So I struggled. I came back and I talked to my finance guy. And I said, look, mota moti inhone itna bataya, pada lagao ki kya ho raha hai wahan pe. So I had to ask him. And then he had to put my famous Excel sheet and demonstrate it to me how actually it has opened up this kind of an activity. So will unorganized sector go away? I don't think so. In the current context, unorganized sector has kind of been throttled a bit down for a couple of reasons. Number one, supply chain issues. Second, because of all these COVID lockdowns, they have not been able to operate. And third, very, very important thing is imports from China. one, it is prohibitively expensive because the shipment costs, the container costs have all gone up. And again, the availability of mal from China has come down. Therefore, that's a couple of reasons have kind of come together for the organized sector to take position.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So we want to make the best use of this opportunity. And you said that there are so many interesting things happening. So with my mentor's permission and your permission, if we could extend the session for 10-15 minutes, because still I have a lot of questions in the chat box.
I have answers for it. Let me try.
Okay. Dhanuka sir, should we go ahead? Okay. So
we must, okay. Because this is one of the best sessions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We really don't want to miss this opportunity. Sushma, next, you can come up with your question.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for the session, sir. Sir, I have two questions, sir. My first question is that as a general investor, what should we look out in the auto ancillary companies? Like there's so much of changing technology and regulations. It's a very disruptive industry, sir. So what is that we should look out as an investor? And my second question is, sir.
Sushma, one. Please,
yeah,
please,
there are a lot of questions here.
Yes.
Well, I am not a good expert in investing community. Therefore, let me refrain from. Definitely, I'm not a subject matter expert on this. Okay, so please.
Sir, on this, I have taken out a leaf from your presentation, sir. So good management.
Yes, true.
So my second question was regarding that only, sir. It is financials are very easily accessible and you can read the financials. But sir, in management, so my question is that you supply to all these auto companies, which is the management that you really admire and why?
Well, you are asking me a very difficult question. You are asking me whether you like Jahangir the best or Jalebi the best, or you know.
Sir, please be comfortable. Please don't.
Yeah, it's okay. We can go on.
No, what I'm telling is no. Let me answer a question. Let me tell you, each one of my customers come with certain plus points. Therefore, it is for me to look at their plus points. You know, I can always look at what are negatives there. That's not my intention. My intention is, now let us say when I look at Anand Mahindra, for example, what can I learn from Anand Mahindra, or earlier Dr. Pawan Goenka? What can I learn from, let us say, Ratan Tata ji? What can I learn from, let us say, the Suzuki people? What can I learn from Hyundai and Kia, the way they are operating? What can we learn from how a turnaround happened in REML, Royal Enfield? You know, what a brand it got created. Fantastic story there. How you can go against the grain, still be right, if you are very clear in what you want to do. You know, I'm talking about Mr. Bajaj. Yeah. So he went against his father to say, you know, this is the point I have. And he went on to prove it. So, but at the same time, at one point in time, he said, well, when it comes to urban mobility, it is going to be scooter. Therefore, electric vehicles, I'll get into scooter. He was willing to change himself. Therefore, each one of these customers, if you look at it, they have wonderful lessons for us to learn. And I think we should be, we are fortunate to have such gurus in front of us.
Absolutely. Very well said, sir. Next question, Vasundhara, are you there?
Yeah. Good evening, sir. So what role will the PLI scheme play in helping both the auto and the auto component industry become globally competitive?
Well, PLI scheme is more, the way I have looked at it, is more geared towards big players, not to small players. They expect some amount of trickle-down effect to happen. I don't know how much of trickle-down effect is going to happen. But the way I look at it is, धंधा करना है तो सरकार के बावजूद करना है. You know, in spite of government, we need to run our business, right, not with the help of business. Therefore, don't have the crutches. Let us be independent. We are, you know, mature adults. We are a 70 plus free country, you know, so we should be able to manage on our own. So if there is something coming, I'm not going to say no to it, but I'm not going to depend on that. Let me put it this way.
Thank you, sir.
Well said, sir. Veena, your turn, please.
Good evening, sir. Sir, what are the prospects of the non-auto cable business in the US? And are there similar prospects and is there a similar scope in India as well?
Well, in US, what is the scope? There is a huge scope there. We are probably now at around $40 to $50 million business we have, and I expect easily, with moving up the needle up to $100 million without problems. I'm talking about. We should be able to move that.
Okay, sir.
Get things right. Okay. So that's the first part of the question. The second part is what is it in India? India probably is something as John Deere's of the world and Mahindra and agribusiness picks up, Kubota picks up. All these people start picking up, because earlier I don't think you had simple things like paddy planters. You did not have a device to plant paddy. You had to manually do it. Now,
yes,
whether
sir.
it is a Kubota or these people are coming out with paddy planters. Therefore, more and more mechanization is going to happen. And as more and more mechanization happens, we as a cable supplier will be a part of those mechanisms. Therefore,
Okay.
we'll have growth.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Next, Pooja.
Kon Banwa, sir. Good evening. Sir, how significant is the aftermarket segment for the auto ancillary sector, sir?
Let me put it this way. It will depend upon what product you're talking about and what is your focus. While, for example, on cable, I'm going to rely more on my OE segment, and aftermarket is, I also want to have presence in aftermarket, but that's not my bread and butter. But when I'm looking at halogen bulbs, you know that LED is replacing halogens. Therefore, we knew that when we bought the company, we knew that we are buying a company with a technology which has got a shelf life. Therefore, the question is how much can you squeeze out of it? And very important is can you not treat India as a market? You treat global market as your market. Therefore, the question is, the trick here is, in a technology which is dying, how can you keep growing in a shrinking market? And the only way you can grow in a shrinking market is you expand your market. For example, a classic example is Osram had a plant down in south in India. So we went up to Osram and we told, hey, what, do you want to run this plant? It has got such a low capacity. I have got higher capacity. Does it not make sense? Then Osram and we had a wonderful discussion, and it was a very mature discussion, as we were also competitors. Therefore, we had to respect each other as competitors, but at the same time, see whether we can collaborate also. Yeah. So ultimately, it ended up in we buying over their plant and also having a buyback agreement with them. Therefore, we acquired a new customer who was my competitor. So you see, there is no permanent enemies in business. Therefore, my competitor became my customer. Therefore, in this segment, I am trying to make aftermarket as my mainstay business, because OE business will come down. I know that it will come down. And when it comes down, there are big people like Osram, Philips, who would not like to invest in it, who would like to go away from it, but they would still have a strong brand. Philips is a strong brand. Lumilet is a strong brand. Osram is a strong brand. Sylvania is a strong brand. Can I not be a supplier to them? So can I not be a last man standing strategy in terms of manufacturing? That's the point that we have to look at. Therefore, in that, aftermarket becomes important for me.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Next, Jyoti, you can come in. And
Good
then
evening,
followed
sir.
by Srinidhi after this.
So my question is that talks of free trade agreement is reviving between India and EU. So will this give additional benefit to the auto ancillary industry?
Well, I don't know much in detail about it, but I hope it's going to be. It'll always be, quid pro quo. There is no free lunch, you know that. We went gaga on free trade agreement with Thailand. You know what happened, right? So we need to, when we are ready to accept a rose, we should be aware that there will be thorns along with it.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Sunita Rock. Srinidhi is not here. Sunita, you can come in.
Yeah. Sir, I had a question which is related to your acquisitions that you have done of different brands. You have said that you like to keep the brands going. My question was, in your view, does corporate culture of empowerment as well as responsibility lead to better cost management and a healthier bottom line as well?
Now, you had a brand and you have the management question. How was it linked? Can I?
So, because what I have read about the company is that wherever you have acquired these brands, the whole, the employees have been integrated. Nobody has been kind of let go, and
Correct.
You have recognized that. At the same time, on your own factory floors and on your shop floors, the factory managers they work more like entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Because they look after not only the production in terms of what are the targets, but also the costing of it,
Yes.
keeping the costs low, etc.
Yes.
So
yes.
has all this together contributed to your success as a company?
Definitely, it would be one of the factors, in my opinion. Maybe that's
Right,
one of the things that we have done right. When we acquired Phoenix Lamps, we had a big question mark, how are we going to run this?
Right.
Same thing happened when we did Westcon in US.
Right.
Are you going to land boots there? Are you going to do the Afghanistan? Are you going to send troops there to manage the country? I don't think it's going to be a sustainable one. You need to respect culture. You should, and we are in the heart of US. It's a Midwestern culture. We are in. Okay, it's deeply ingrained. Okay.
Yes.
So it's not very easy. In fact, when it came to a certain level where we had certain problems and we had to set it right, there was this question, and are we going to land boots there? I said, no, we are not going to land boots there. We will never, ever do that. Okay. So we launched what we called as Operation Catalyst.
Okay.
Those of you who are into chemistry will know a catalyst is a chemical which enhances the speed of reaction, but does not take part in the reaction. So that's exactly what I wanted. I did not want our people to take part in the reaction, but enhance the speed of reaction, be a facilitator. But the reactants, the chemical reactants are those local management teams. And we have to make them responsible for it. And empowering them, making them responsible, and holding them accountable is very, very important.
Right.
And that goes without doubt. So we have, for example, we have a one-on-one call between the head of these units and me. Every week I have a one-on-one call. So it's unstructured, hello kind of stuff.
Right.
But other than that, we have structured business review meetings, monthly business review meetings, and all those kind of stuff, which are normal, right?
Right.
So empowering them helps. The answer is yes.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So actually, I wanted to ask, in an EV, so like the auto parts, the number of auto parts will go less. So will it also have any impact on the auto parts we are making when the EV comes?
Well, let me ask you a question. If you're going to buy a Tesla car, or are you going to buy a car without doors, then I will not have place there, because you will not be having locks. Therefore, I will not be able to sell cables to Tesla. If you don't want windows in your car and you don't want your windows to move up and down, then yes, I cannot sell cables to you. When you don't want to open the boot or the filler cap where you are going to put the, what do you call that, the charging unit, you want to put that in, and to open that, you are going to have a mechanism. You don't want to have that in your car, then I will not be selling my cable. Well, Teslas have got all these things right now. So if Tesla has it, I presume that others will have it. Will it morph? Will the way it is used change? The answer is yes. More and more, I'm not telling it will happen. You see, there are a lot of electrical gadgets which are coming in where you push a button and then it opens something. Therefore, that means there is a button, there is a wiring harness, and there is a small, a solenoid or something like that, which is operating there. Now, when you have electricity, which is a precious commodity on your vehicle as a fuel, would you want to use that electricity to operate all these bells and whistles in your vehicle, or to get that extra miles?
The extra miles, basically.
So that's the way I look at it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Vinita, for last question. Vinita Pitti, you may come in, please.
Namaskar, sir. I wanted to know, how will the scrappage policy affect your company, sir?
Well, it affects the industry as a whole, which I think is good, because you have this huge chimneys, mobile chimneys going around on the road, and people who have been in Delhi more understand the effects of it. Therefore, I would say their scrappage policy is something which was overdue in the industry. We were not a mature industry, we were a small industry. With the maturity coming in, I think it's time has come for us well, let me put it this way. If a large political party decides to have a Margadarshak Mandal, let's have scrappage policy.
Thank you, sir.
So I just want this session to go on and on, sir. But I have to end, sir. And so, but with a promise from you that you are going to attend our offline session here in Calcutta sometime, sir, when things open up.
God willing.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the session, sir. It was truly a mesmerizing session with lots and lots of learning, I would say. Now I would like to invite our Vice President, Meghna Bajoria, to extend the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Rachna. It's been a great privilege, Mr. Mohan, having you at our forum today. Your positivity and sense of humor is absolutely contagious. Thank you so much for giving us your valuable time and sharing the mantras behind Suprajit's success with us. The chat between MM and NSM will be forever etched in our minds. You have given us deep insights into never say die okigai kabushi auto component sector and dispelling the myths surrounding auto trends. And thank you for extensively answering all our questions. From being lifeline of two-wheelers and four-wheelers to making headways in the halogen lamps business, Suprajit is surely firing on all cylinders, and the road ahead looks very smooth. And with a leader, sir, like you at the helm, it will surely be a great enjoyable journey for the company, something like the poem you shared with us. We wish you all the best for your future endeavors, Mr. Mohan. Thank you to all the members for being here today as well. Thank you so much, everyone.